Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, the Honourable Michael McCormack MP, visited Darwin to announce federal funding for improvements to Northern Territory Road Blackspots, along with Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Senator Nigel Scullion MP, and candidate for Solomon electorate, Cathy Ganley.
Great to be here too with the CLP candidate for Solomon, Cathy Ganley. Cathy, of course, was the Deputy Coroner for the Northern Territory for 6 years, and she saw all too often what comes about when there are tragedies on our roads. And all too often, the incidents of road deaths and road trauma are higher in the regions than they are in our metropolitan areas. And that is why today I'm announcing further funding for Blackspots in the Northern Territory, further funding to end the scourge of deaths, needless tragedies on our roads in the Northern Territory and of course elsewhere. And last Tuesday's budget had ongoing funding for Blackspots, roads to recovery and other funding measures to improve our roads. And certainly in the Northern Territory there was the Bunteen Highway, $100 million in the budget. There was the Central Arnhem Road, Central Arnhem Highway, $180 million. The roads of strategic importance, $3.5 billion going forward over the next decade, but perhaps more importantly, $1.5 billion dedicated to Northern Australia. Now, as far as the Blackspots program, $1.87 million for 5 projects, 2 in Darwin, 1 in Humpty Doo, another in Timber Creek, and 1 also in Katherine. But this particular intersection here, the installation of a right-hand lane will avoid people having to risk, going through that intersection dangerously. It's going to improve the safety measures of that, and that's what our road funding is all about. $1.87 million for the Blackspots as part of a $75 billion, a record amount of money spent on infrastructure, $24.5 billion of new money. We're looking to work with the Territory and state governments. We're looking to work with local councils to bring better outcomes for the people of the Territory, for people right across regional Australia, indeed our nation. Some of those roads need widening, some of those roads need sealing, and that's all part of the funding package. The Outback Way from Winton to Laverton, another important road, particularly for Territorians.
It's very exciting as well because of some of the government's announcements around the future of Northern Australia. You would have heard in the budget that we've had not only the $180 million that we've just been talking around today, but the $235 million that will be invested in the north in infrastructure in terms of roads. One of the most important areas of our investment, of course, is the NAIF Infrastructure Fund. Yes, that's been a bit controversial because we haven't just thrown money out of the door, we've done it in a considered way. We've made some amendments in terms of the profile of the debt that people need to have. So instead of being required to have to put 50% of the funds up front, some of those have changed, and you'll be hearing a rollout of announcements about new infrastructure that's being built, whether it's around aquaculture, whether it's around wharfs and maritime infrastructure, whether it's around infrastructure to assist us with this very valuable live cattle trade, or infrastructure in tourism.
The Deputy Prime Minister will also attend the Transport and Infrastructure Council meeting in Darwin to further discuss federal funding and infrastructure issues for the NT.